Welcome back to part 5 of our Twitch setup tutorial. In this one we're going to take what we learned in part 4, which is the dynamic impulse receivers, and we're going to wire it into our setup for the lamp, so the light that turns on and off. I lost the other setup that we had, which we wired it up manually. That's actually for the best, actually, as we then won't be influenced by that setup. We can all set it up again. It'll be a good refresher for the light turning on and off again. As it's all modular, it should be a bit more tidy. So we're going to do something interesting, which is we're going to wire up the tail end first. So again, this is the end that doesn't require Twitch. I always do this because it means I don't have to continually type light on, light off. If I didn't do this, you would see double the amount of messages in my Twitch chat here than you would usually see. I always recommend doing this. Try it out. Isolate your setup from the Twitch chat as much as possible until you need to plug in Twitch. This is an example of how to do that. So we're going to start with a string receiver. So private UI is still on, so you should be able to see that. So I'm going to start with a string receiver. So I'm again in my public folder, public logics dynamic receivers, and I need the string receiver. These are spawning in upside down. I'm not sure why. Just flip them around. And so what we want to do here is we want to set up a command that will run independently of the Twitch setup. And the command we're going to do is light, just like our first setup. And now what we've got is we've got a impulse receiver which will be triggered by an impulse trigger that is attached to the Twitch setup. But we don't need to worry about Twitch here, it's completely separate. So when we receive a pulse that has the tag light, we'll get a pulse here, and then we'll get whatever's after the space here. So if it's light space on, we'll get on here, and if it's light space off, we'll get off here. So now all we need to do is take operators, equal, and say, does the incoming message value equal on? And then we write that to a light. I don't have a light, so I'm going to quickly make one. Here's our light tip again. We're done with that. And inspect the light. Jump to the top, pull the interface, and then we just need to write the value that we've got here to the light again, exactly like the previous setup. If you need a refresh on that setup, go ahead and watch that video again and then come straight back here. So now when we receive a value, which is the light on or off, so on or off here, if it equal to on, this will be true, so we write true to enabled. And if it's off here, this will be false, so we write off to enabled. So now we've condensed our light setup down from like 20 nodes down into effectively 3 nodes here. Now all we need to do is write the other half of it, which is where we send the commands. So let's go ahead and do that. But first of all, what I want to do is I want to check that this works. To check that that works, I'm going to spawn a couple of more nodes. So we're going to do dynamic impulse trigger with value. We're going to need a run. We're going to need this to say exclamation mark light. And then we're going to need a string input. And we'll start this as on. And then we'll target the root slot again. So slots, let's turn off private UI. Root slot. Now when I trigger this, you'll see the light's already on, so nothing's happening. That's right. We'll turn this to off. And the light turns off. Turn this to on. And the light turns on. So I've now made a setup that responds to a light on or off command that is not to do with Twitch. Like there's nothing here that's Twitch related. So this could work with other setups, other commands, other services, everything. And this is what I mean about modularity. So now let's hook up the other side, which does trigger it from Twitch, by going over to the Twitch UI here. We need to pull that Twitch interface. So let's go to inspect, jump to the top, Twitch chat master, scroll to the Twitch interface, wherever it is. I think it's in a different place. Here it is. There's the Twitch interface. Oh, it's over there. Interesting. So here's the Twitch interface, and then we will go to network. Where are we? Network, Twitch chat message. Plug in the interface here, and now we're back to where we started with. And so now all we need to do on this setup is we need to take the incoming string, and so the incoming string is going to be either light space on or light space off. Split it into two parts. We need to split into the stuff that is before the space, exclamation mark light, and the stuff after the space, which is on. We can do that easily by using a similar trick to the previous one. And again, I'm not going to connect this up to Twitch until I know it works. So we're going to do a string input first. And we're going to type our command. Light space on. I'm also now going to use a relay node. Relay nodes just allow us to not have to rewire things up as much. They're also like for mobile setups. So if I'm over there working on logic, and I need this value over there, I can take a relay node over rather than this node. We do this because it means that we can swap between our test string and the actual string without changing many other outputs. You'll see that in use later, so just bear with me whilst the reload node is being used. So here we want to first of all find the space. So index of string, space, enter. Then here we'll get 6. And so now if we want anything up to the space, we can use the substring node here, and we can plug in the relay again, and then we can say the start index is 0, and the length, which is the length of the substring, is up to the space, which means 6. So we can plug this into here. So it will get the first character all the way to the 6th character, and not the space. So if we pull this out here, you'll see this is light and there's no space in there. Again, we'll check using my little trick. If there's a faster way to do this, let me know, but this is how I do it. And there's no space. I just spawn that keyboard and I check if there's a space on the end by using the arrow keys on the keyboard. So we've got our command here. So now all we need is everything after the space. So I'm going to put this here and this here because this is our command. So now all we need to do is get everything that is after the space. So to get after the space, we need to repeat the setup from the previous video. So we'll do another substring. And we'll need a plus node as well. So we get the space plus 1. And then we don't specify an end here, so we start at there, and then we get the rest of the string, and we plug the relay node in there, and you'll see here we get on. Let's change this to light off, and you'll see we get light and off. We're going to change this to pavement on. And pavement off. I don't know why I went with pavement there. What I was trying to illustrate there is a longer string. So we'll change this back to light. So now I'm going to spawn the dynamic impulse trigger with value. And so we want to plug in the command is the tag, the value is the arguments or the stuff after the space, and then the slot is our root slot again. And then we have a pulse node here. So this is currently light on. If we go back to the light, it's currently on. So I'm actually going to change this to light off. And then I'm going to bring the pulse node back to where the light is over here. And you'll see now, I just turned the light off using the power of this string here. So we'll change this back to light on. We go back to the light. You'll see it turns on. Let me clear those gizmos. So we can turn it on and off just using this string. Now let's hook that up to Twitch. So all we need to do that is plug the message here into the relay. Notice how we don't need to change anything else because we're using that relay, which means we can delete this. And then we plug this on message into here. And we can delete this pulse. Let's come back to here. And I'm also going to delete our test rig here. So now all we've got is the sender and the receiver, and the light is currently on. So we're going to send the words !light off in Twitch chat here. And the light turns off. I hope that's an example of how this can be effective here. We turn the light on and off, and none of this logics here knows anything about the light. All it does is send commands through, and all this does is receive commands. There is nothing in this that knows about Twitch. Everything about Twitch is over there. To prove how cool this is, what I'm going to do is go to the top of the light here. It says point light, and I'm going to change this to be !light, and then I'm going to pull the slot here, and I'm going to pull the name out here. So you see now the name of the slot is light, so I can then plug this in, and then we don't need this, and then we're going to pack this up into this light. Pack that too, and that will get rid of that. And now let's duplicate some lights. And let's do again light on. And you'll see they all turn on. Let's go ahead and inspect this light. And change it to be !potato. Let's change this light and make it !LOL. And then let's do potato off. Only the potato light turned off. Things you didn't expect you'd be saying today. The potato light is now off. Let's do LOL off. Now the LOL light is off. And then finally we'll do light off. And now all the lights are off because the remaining ones are called light. And we wrote no additional logics there to handle additional commands. All we did was we made it modular and dynamic so that the name of the slot of the light triggers which command it responds to. That's it for this part. I hope this begins to show you how you can structure a world in which multiple things respond to multiple commands without having to know about each other. In the final part to this video, we're going to go ahead and unpack the Twitch house. We're going to finally peek behind the curtain of the Twitch house and show how that's achieved within the world. Once that one's over, you should be able to go out in the world and start making Twitch setups yourself. Drop some comments in the comment section if you've got questions or you want me to go over anything in more detail. I hope this helps. I will see you next time.